This 2 rupees commemorative coin was issued in 2009 for circulation. The obverse side of the coin is divided by 2 horizontal lines into 3 portions. The top portion contains words Bharat in Hindi and India in English. The bottom portion shows rupee in Hindi and rupees in English. The center portion bears the lion capital of Ashok pillar with the legend Satyam Eva Jai 8 in Hindi inscribed below. The prominent international numeral 2 indicates the denomination. The reverse of this coin shows the effigy of Louis Braille. The dots below his figure, in Braille script reads, L.BRL, short for Louis Braille. The legend Louis Braille in both English and Hindi appear in the top half of the periphery. The year 1809 is inscribed to the left side and 2009 to the right side of his effigy. Louis Braille commemorative coins of 2 rupees are issued by Mumbai, Kolkata and Hyderabad mints. This coin is made of stainless steel. The diameter of this coin is 27 mm and weighs 5.60 grams. Louis Braille was born in Coupvray, a small town about 20 miles east of Paris, on the 4th of January 1809. As soon as he could walk, Braille spent time playing in his father's workshop. At the age of 3, the child was playing with some of the tools, trying to make holes in a piece of leather with an awl. Squinting closely at the surface, he pressed down hard to drive the point in, and the awl glanced across the tough leather and struck him in one of his eyes. A local physician bound and patched the affected eye and even arranged for Braille to be met the next day in Paris by a surgeon, but no treatment could save the damaged organ. In agony, the young boy suffered for weeks as the wound became severely infected, an infection which then spread to his other eye, likely due to sympathetic ophthalmia. Louis Braille survived the torment of the infection, but by the age of 5 he was completely blind in both eyes. Due to his young age, Braille did not realize at first that he had lost his sight, and often asked why it was always dark. His parents made many efforts, quite uncommon for the era, to raise their youngest child in a normal fashion, and he prospered in their care. He learned to navigate the village and country paths with canes his father hewed for him, and he grew up seemingly at peace with his disability. Braille's bright and creative mind impressed the local teachers and priests, and he was accommodated with higher education. Braille studied in Coupvray until the age of 10. Because of his combination of intelligence and diligence, Braille was permitted to attend one of the first schools for blind children in the world, the Royal Institute for Blind Youth, since renamed to the National Institute for Blind Youth in Paris. Braille, the last of the family's children to leave the household, departed for the school in February 1819. At the time the Royal Institute was an underfunded, ramshackle affair, but it provided a relatively stable environment for blind children to learn and associate together. Braille was determined to invent a system of reading and writing that could bridge the gap in communication between the sighted and the blind. In his own words, access to communication in the widest sense is access to knowledge, and that is vitally important for us if we, the blind, and not to go on being despised or patronized by condescending sighted people. We do not need pity, nor do we need to be reminded we are vulnerable. We must be treated as equals, and communication is the way this can be brought about. Braille worked tirelessly on his ideas, and his system was largely completed by 1824, when he was 15 years old. From Barbier's night writing, he innovated by simplifying its form and maximizing its efficiency. He made uniform columns for each letter, and he reduced the 12 raised dots to 6. He published his system in 1829, and by the second edition in 1837 he had discarded the dashes because they were too difficult to read. Crucially, Braille's smaller cells were capable of being recognized as letters with a single touch of a finger. Braille created his own raised dot system by using an awl, the same kind of implement which had blinded him. In the process of designing his system, he also designed an ergonomic interface for using it, based on Braille's own slate and stylus tools. By soldering two metal strips across the slate, he created a secure area for the stylus which would keep the lines straight and readable. By these modest means, Braille constructed a robust communication system. It bears the stamp of genius, wrote Dr. Richard Slating French, former director of the California School for the Blind, like the Roman alphabet itself. Although Braille was admired and respected by his pupils, his writing system was not taught at the institute during his lifetime. The successors of Valentin Hoy, who had died in 1822, showed no interest in altering the established methods of the school, and indeed, they were actively hostile to its use. Dr. Alexander François René Pignat, headmaster at the school, was dismissed from his post after he had a history book translated into Braille. Braille had always been a sickly child, and his condition worsened in adulthood. A persistent respiratory illness, long believed to be tuberculosis, dogged him, and by the age of 40, he was forced to relinquish his position as a teacher. Despite the lack of a cure at the time, Braille lived with the illness for 16 years. When his condition reached mortal danger, he was admitted to the infirmary at the Royal Institution, where he died in 1852, 2 days after he had reached the age of 43. The 200th anniversary of Braille's birth in 2009 was celebrated throughout the world by exhibitions and symposiums about his life and achievements. Among the commemorations, Belgium and Italy struck €2 coins, India struck a €2 coin, and the USA struck a $1 coin, all in Braille's honor.